Red Hood and the Outlaws, number 11, written by Scott Lobdell, art by Kenneth Rocafort. Last issue we left off with Starfire ending up on a ship and commanding a whole bunch of other ships who are about to attack her, like, stand down and I might let you live. This issue picks up with all the cool parts already having happened, and we end up with Arsenal being captured by these aliens, and apparently they blew up a bunch of their ships. And now Starfire and the rest of her team is off in hiding somewhere. I guess. I don't know. So they're called the Blight, and the rest of the issue is basically told through the framing device of Arsenal is telling the story because he's being interrogated of, like, where is Commander Coriander and why is she here at all? So we see, okay, Starfire, she commanded this ship, she did all this stuff, and she fires all these blasts and just destroys the alien fleet. And everyone on board is like, yeah, we did it, good job, except for Starfire, who's sitting there like, hey, the fight's not over yet, we still gotta make it into orbit and find my sister, free our people, and all that, so let's cool the jets. By the way, Jason and Roy, I need to talk to you. So they take a step outside, and basically she's just like, here's the deal. I don't care about any of this. Like, I genuinely don't care about fighting for my planet. I need you guys to convince me that I'm wrong. Then we real quick cut over to Isabel, aka Jason's date, who got sucked up into this whole thing. And she's just given a gun because the one guy on the ship's like, hey, things might get a little bit dangerous up here. You're in good hands. Like, don't worry about that. But it's probably better that you are able to fight for yourself, you know? So she's like, yeah, cool. I'm going to go check in with Jason. And she just leaves. So then we get the breakdown of why Starfire doesn't care about any of this. And basically it comes down to she was living a happy life. Her sister was young, but still a solid ruler. But during all the attacks on their planet and whatnot, she was basically given up by her sister at one point in order to maintain peace. She was sold into slavery. And she always resented the fact that over the course of her entire time as a slave, no one from her home planet ever came for her. She was just left there. And eventually she got her own way out. She built up her own thing and came back to her planet. And everyone was like, hooray, the princess has returned. But she was like, you didn't care to come get me. So eventually she just managed to take control of the ship and live out as a wanderer. And she's just basically asking Roy and Jason, like, am I wrong to, like, just want to leave? Like, yeah, I know I came up here to do my thing, but screw them, right? And Jason's like, yeah, no, totally. Look, we've got a good thing going down on Earth. You don't have to worry about any of that. And Roy's like, dude, shut up. Shut your mouth. And he talks to Starfire and is just like, hey, you're a good person. That's the reason you do these things. It's not about whether or not they abandon you or whatever. It's not about what happened in the past. It's that you do the right thing. And that's why you're so super amazing, awesome, and we definitely have a romance going on. And Starfire seemingly making a choice as Isabel comes back in. And Jason basically just apologizes for the date, but she's like, oh, no, don't worry about it. The date that I was going on, like, before we got sucked up, like, with your little alter ego thing, that was the most boring date of all time. This is at least entertaining. And they're just like, okay, sorry, thanks, I guess. So at this point, the aliens interrupt Roy and are just like, what are you talking about, dude? Why are you... None of this is relevant to what we were asking you about. And he's like, I mean, it all is part of the story. You just got to listen to the thing. And then this voice from off panel is like, he's just delaying. He's hoping that somebody's going to show up and save him. But mark my words, nobody's going to save you, Roy Harper. Now tell me. And we see who it is. And she's like, tell me where my sister is. And it turns out it's Blackfire, a.k.a. Starfire's sister. So, yeah, that's that. And there's a backup story to this, but I'll say that on a fifth week. I like it in the sense that it's giving just a moment of character development while also managing to forward the plot. Like, we know the fact that Arsenal is going to be captured, and we know the fact that they are hiding somehow. But it also gives that moment of, okay, does Starfire actually care to help at all? Is she there for any positive reasons, really? So, I don't know. It tells a good story. It's got a good beat going on there. I would say if I had any qualm with it at all, it's that it may not get as far as I would like. After all that really happened in terms of the actual plot itself is they blew up the ships, and that happened in the past. Like, this was just an issue of reveals, is basically what it was. It was just setting up all the pieces of, like, here's how this person feels about this thing, here's how this person feels about that thing. Okay, we're good, moving on. So in that regard, I can't disrespect it that much, but it's got its own thing going on. I'll go ahead and give it a 6.5, and I'm really close to 7, but I have 7 listed here on my paper as a solid read, and I can't justify that. It's so 6.5. It has its issues, but it's still good. It's still solid. I was about to say solid read. It's still a decent read overall. Art, of course, is fantastic the whole way through, so no real problems on that either. So yeah, and check out the backup. I think that covers, what's her name? Essence was her name? I don't know. I'll be covering that on the 5th week though.